Let's take you now for more reaction on our leading story. This hour, Police and Prisons Civil Rights Union say it has noted with shock revelations relating to the escape of an inmate, Thabo Bester, from the Mangaung Correctional Centre, which is contracted to G4S, a British multinational private security company. Let's discuss this further now. We are joined by Richard Mamabolo, Popcru spokesperson. Thank you so much, Richard, for your time this afternoon. Now, these developments have raised serious questions, just about the conduct of the Mangaung Correctional Centre officials and, of course, the Department of Correctional Services as a whole. What's your reaction? And more importantly, who should be held responsible for Bester's escape?
Yes, indeed, we're quite concerned as a union. I think one of the things we've come to become aware of is that since the fire incident on May last year, there has been an internal investigation which was conducted by the prison management, and out of that investigation, the security supervisor was expelled, and of course there are 3 other members of the emergency security team who are currently under suspension. And since then, the investigation was then closed. And by the way, they were charged for negligence and not about any escape. Now, this clearly demonstrates that there was some level of underhandedness in that it should have then been known that somebody would have had to bring a body into the cell to replace Mr. Bester, to pretend as if it was Mr. Bester's body, and that could not have been done by junior officials. We think that investigations need to look high up top the management level. So the management needs to definitely be held accountable, because we're currently reacting to something that has happened in the recent weeks, wherein there were media reports around the whereabouts of Mr. Bester. And of course, I think the Department of Correctional Services as well needs to take account, because according to the Correctional Services Act 111 of 2018, they are supposed to have methods which they monitor this private presence. And of course, for that purpose, there's what you call a controller, who's supposed to ensure that the management obviously abides by all the legislative processes therein. Now, that has not been the case. And of course, I think what we're currently seeing is just a mere reaction of what is already out there in the public. So both the management of the prison and, of course, the DCS need to take accountability. We have always argued that we cannot have South Africa outsourcing the security facilities of our country to foreign nationals. And of course, this is one of such cases wherein you've got a company which is mainly interested in profit maximization, having to look after inmates, wherein our constitution clearly stipulates that our correctional centers should be places of rehabilitation, which is the core mandate of the Department of Correctional Services. And we therefore believe that since the contracts have been signed on a 25-year basis, we think that they should be scrapped immediately, and that the Department of Correctional Services needs to take over these contracts. DCS in Mangaung, his contract is ending in 26, and the one in Limpopo is ending in 2027. We feel that the years that are still left within that contract would have obviously as well led to numerous other incidents taking place. This is, by the way, not the first time that we're hearing about these challenges within these correctional centers. There have been allegations of abuses and discrimination which have been reported over the years.
Richard, before you go on to other incidents that have happened, I want us to stick with this story for a few more minutes, please. You mentioned quite a number of things, particularly in terms of this incident, which again has raised so much shock in the public space, including, as you've mentioned, that this is possible. It's possibly likely that we're talking about very senior correctional services officials here that are involved, and not just junior staff. I mean, one of the reports that we know that were in the media space is that on the 11th of June of 2022, a prison warder at Mangaung Correctional Centre sent an email to the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Nkosi Patekile Olomisa, asking, are you aware that an inmate who allegedly burnt to death at Mangaung Correctional Centre was supposedly assisted by the Mangaung Correctional Centre and the Department of Correctional Services officials at the prison to escape? Now, we obviously understand that Mr. Olomisa has denied those allegations. But again, this speaks to just the credibility of officials, especially, like you said, senior officials. Surely these officials, like you said, that have been suspended and some expelled or fired should be behind bars.
Look, I think the first thing we need to clarify is that the management is run by a private company. I mean, the president is run by a private company. The role that the Department of Correctional Services plays is to have monitoring processes therein. So that is why we're saying that the management of the prison needs to be held accountable, but as well as the Department of Correctional Services, because it then therefore means that their monitoring processes have not been thorough. And again, I think one of the clear questions that have come up is related to the fact that there has been information which is shared. I think for now we would not want to comment on that, but it's something that definitely needs to be tested, because we are learning that there has been information which has been sent to senior government officials. However, the main question here is that how do you then have a body go into a prison and actually replace be in a cell that is supposed to be that of Mr. Bester, and of course, with the fire issue that has been created, how do you then get that done? You cannot have such a process arranged just by junior officials. It therefore then means that there should definitely have been somebody within the management of the prison who was aware of that. And of course, I think records can clearly stipulate if it was another prisoner, there would definitely have been then a shortage of one inmate in the prison. It then therefore means that that person was taken from outside into the prison to replace Mr. Bester. So definitely that then generates lack of confidence within our correctional centers. And of course, I think the fact that the Department of Correctional Services has not been doing a thorough job in monitoring the process therein definitely warrants that both these parties do take account.
All right, Richard, thank you so much for that analysis, of course, and your reaction to the story. Richard Mamabolo is the spokesperson of Popcru.